T-Man 978 Chill Review. Hello everyone, T-Man 978. I was lucky enough to find Transformers Generations Combiner Wars Titan class Devastator. And he is huge. I've taken everything out of this box, but I want to just briefly show off the box. Of course, you see everything, well, the 6 robots that it comes with right there. It includes this card. And I'm not going to do an in-depth box look because I plan on doing a separate video that shows off everything you need to see as far as the box and the packaging. But here's the product placement on the box and a good look at Devastator, and this is very, very friggin' tall. I'm going to stop wasting time and get straight to this review. And here are all the Combiner Wars Constructicons in their vehicle molds, with their weapons tacked on to 2 of the figures anyway. One thing of note off top, I have these wings on Scrapper here, but they can also be taken off and put onto Scavenger. There's a little hole right there and a peg right there. We can just go right there. But I believe on the original Generation 1 toy, they were on Scrapper. And Scrapper is supposed to be the leader, so maybe he's a flying shovel. But anyway, one thing of note that I haven't heard anyone mention, the 30th anniversary of Transformers was last year, but the 30th anniversary of the release of Devastator during the Transformers toy line, it was 30 years ago. So this is actually the 30th anniversary of Devastator right here, which is cool. And I'm shocked nobody ever mentioned or caught on to. Or if they have caught on to, I haven't heard of them. This weapon right here on long haul, this is the best place I was able to get things. This right here, it looks like something would attach to that, but I don't know what. And it's been frustrating and held me up during my review. But anyway, if I can take this off and put it onto a bone crusher right here in that little slot. I mean, it's not sturdy at all, but in fact now it's making me look stupid. It was holding into there a lot better than it's doing right now. So that's an option too if you don't want everything on long haul. But these all look nice together. One thing of note, or that I'll mention, for the folks who don't like the weapon storage, I took the weapons off. But like I was saying, these things are very impressive in person. They're impressive, but Hasbro cheaped out in a lot of places. That's very disappointing. But, and another thing of note, when you first touch it, the plastic is made out of like a softer plastic than I'm used to when it comes to Transformers. I've been collecting Transformers for a long time, and this plastic, it's kind of hollow feeling in certain places, especially in robot mode, but it's more of a more bendable, flexible plastic. But let's get into Scrapper since I'm holding him first. Only articulation he has in this mode is this right here. It bends right there and there. It doesn't bend here, but you can still scoop things up and lift it and dump it over, which is really cool. The wheels, it's a pin right there, but this wheel is just popped onto that little yellow, well, greenish yellow, yellowish green peg right there, and that as well. But you can see they put ladders right there and there, and I guess these would be big, humongous industrial vehicles with ladders that small, and the little cab is small as well. And I guess all of their little cabs match up really. But there you go. Nice Decepticon logo tampoed on there. And he has like molding right there that actually breaks up the Decepticon logo. But you can see the detail right there. I mean, they could have given us more paint, but they didn't. And here's what it looks like from the bottom. Basically looks like Scrapper, just not all the way transformed. Let's go to Scavenger next. He's cool. The treads have wheels right here, and they don't have wheels there, but they have this rolling thing right there, so it does roll nice, as you can see right here. Here's a close-up on his cab, and his Decepticon logo right there. This shovel bends right there, lifts up here, and bends down there. I mean, it doesn't bend right here, which would have been cool, but you could still scoop things up and carry it and dump it out, which is all he needs to do. Here's some of the molding right there, and the detail. Doesn't have a lot of paint on it. That's painted black. These vents right here, the vents right there, red. Windows. So there's not very much paint in this mode, as you can see. That's what it looks like from the bottom. Bone Crusher. They decided to paint these vents right there silver, which was cool, but it would have been nice if they put purple in there. Something to break that up, because you can see it's begging to be broken up. On this side, you see the ladder here. It's a ladder on that side too. Articulation this has is it can scoop up like that. I guess you can push it forward, but I don't know if that would be practical if this was real. So, not too much going on with him. You can see his little grill right there that's painted silver. And this is what he looks like from the underside. You don't really see much robot details at all, which is cool, unless you lift that up. But who would know that that's a robot detail if this was a real vehicle? You know, Mixmaster, he has the biggest change out of all of them, being that the cement mixer is pointed up this way and it dumps overhead instead of towards the back like the original toy. I mean, you could turn it like this, but there's no real windows besides that, and they're covered up by grills. There's windows on which now the front right here, and as you can see, it has 2 wheels in the front for steering and the 4 wheels in the back. But they painted the oil tanks right there, or gas tanks. They didn't paint that one, which would have been cool, and it's just lacking paint overall, really. But here's what he looks like from under here, and just looks like he's pretty much transformed, really. All you just need is to pull out his head. But yeah, the smokestacks are in the back, which is weird if this is the front. There's a ladder there, so I guess they can get up to the cement. But yeah, there's Mixmaster. I guess if you want it, or if Repro Labels comes out with something, you can label that up, or paint this yourself to make that at the front if you want, but the wheels will still be wrong. Hook. Here he is. They painted those headlights, which is nice, since he has headlights. You can see that ladder detail right there, but I don't see a ladder that would actually let you get into the cab. And they painted this side of the cab, but not this side. I mean, I don't know if that's realistic for a vehicle like that to not have windows over there, which is unfortunate. I guess they would climb up this and then walk over to the cab. But no, the door is right there. Articulation this has, this hook crane can go up. It's massively hollow, which is unfortunate, because it would have been really cool if this could pull out. I don't know why they cheaped out right there. It's kind of silly. And one thing before we get into Devastator mode, I think it's really cool that they were able to get Devastator's head inside of here and hide that away. Very neat in both modes. Like, you would never, it just seems like his head just appears out of nowhere, which is cool. and he rolls very well. Long haul. Now they say this is 6 Voyager class figures, but this guy must be old school Voyagers. He is heavy as hell. It probably puts a lot of weight into the box and a lot of weight to the figure, period. But as you can see here, they nicely painted this grill right here black and the headlights silver. Good Decepticon logo. The cab right there. There's some purple windows, no purple windows on this side. The dump truck doesn't really work how it's supposed to work. You can unpeg it, but it doesn't dump back, which is unfortunate. Here's the details of that right there. It would have been very nice if they made that work how it's supposed to work, but we wouldn't have got the robot mode would have been compromised, I guess. Right here, there's his hands right there and his fingers, but you have to go completely out of your way to see that because of the way they have it covered right there, which is nice. And on him you can see his ladder right here on the front, and this thing is huge and he rolls good. Anyway, let's bring in some other vehicles to compare them with in vehicle mode. Here is Bone Crusher and Scavenger, the 2 main size classes in this set right here. Well, they're all supposed to be Voyager, but as you can see, Bone Crusher is significantly bigger than Scavenger, so Bone Crusher is the biggest. Scavenger is like the normal average size of the other Constructicons. But here we see that Bone Crusher is this big next to Ultra Magnus. Like, he could just take on Ultra Magnus by himself. Not to mention Armada Megatron here. I mean, look at that. And he is way, I guess they're about maybe the same weight. And this is supposed to be a Voyager class. Anywho, that's them from the side. Here he is next to a Legends class toy, which can fit in there. Here's Scavenger next to a Legends class. Scavenger next to Ultra Magnus. Scavenger next to Megatron. And let's bring in a deluxe car. They're about the same size here in vehicle mode right there. But of course, he's significantly bigger. Let me bring in some other figures. Here's Voyager Optimus. And they're close to the same size. Well, let's bring in a different guy. Bring in Motormaster. So you can see how they scale. Here is a masterpiece car. I'm sure somebody's concerned about that. And here is Jetfire and Long Haul. Like I said, Long Haul is very big, and he's definitely heavier than this Jetfire. Let me switch hands. Yeah. He's a big guy. And here's, let's bring in Bone Crusher and Jetfire so you can see how they compare. Anywho, let's get to the transformations. Transformation. I'm gonna start with Mixmaster. These guys are like definitely a mixed bag as far as their complexity. I mean, they're almost like blown up Legends class, or in some cases Legions class, but some of them have like masterpiece engineering, and you'll see once I get there. This one is probably the most simple. You unpeg that. Move these hands out of the way, bring the legs down, and boom, that's done. Go ahead, open this up, flip the head up that way, I guess shove that down right there, and then bring up the shoulders. Come on, they're a little bit tight. Come on. But there he is. His Mixmaster in his robot mode. Not all that detailed. I mean, he looks good enough. His face, I believe, is probably the most stylized face, because I don't remember his head actually. And let's see if I can get a close-up on this. Come on. His head actually looks like a Decepticon symbol at the top. Amazingly, it's on the ball joint. It's able to go around 360. The shoulders can go up but bump into his kibble right there. It can turn 360. He has an elbow bend, and he actually has forearm rotation. But his arms don't go in. But some of them do have arms that go in, as you'll see. The hips can go out that much, kick that much forward. You can bend at the knee almost 90 degrees. And then they all have ankle pivot, which is a nice touch. These weapons they came with, I guess you could just decide on who should get which weapons. And in this case, I'm gonna give Mixmaster this blaster right there. So there you go with that. Here he looks like from the back. I hate this kibble. It almost just looks like he's a truck with legs and arms hanging off from the back. But he's very G1 like from the front. I think in G1 this was aimed up, but I guess they couldn't do that here, which is unfortunate. But I do love that they gave them ankle pivot. It's some articulation they didn't need to do, but they wanted to go the extra mile there, and that's honestly good. His arms are hollow. I can complain about that. And flat. But that's it. Let's move on. Transformation. What you want to do is get this back first. Put that like that. Move these treads out of the way. Get this down. And there's a hinge right there. Bend that. But before we do any of that, could bring these shoulders here. Bring this cab there. Move the arms out to the side right there. Bring these up. And grab his fist out of the little section right here. Come on. And they actually peg right there. Open this panel up. Bring his head up. Shut that. Now, rotate these out of the way. And bring this up like that. Stretch these treads out. Open these up right here to form feet. And here you have Scavenger and robot mode. And he is definitely one of my favorite out of this. You know what I didn't do? Didn't peg this right there. So that's why he was sliding around just now. Anyway, he is really, really nice. And ankle pivot. Oh my God. Ankle pivot is a very important thing. It makes it way easier to stand and pose robots. And this face, it is so cartoon accurate and toy accurate. It is nuts. They even didn't put detail on the back of his head just like the cartoon, just flat and boxy. But he is very, very nice. His articulation, his head is on a ball joint. He got some wiggle. He can look down a little bit because of the transformation. Of course, rotate 360. arms on the ball joint right there so they can go out and around. And there's like a, due to the transformation joint, you can fiddle around with that. He swivels at the elbow because of the ball joint, and he bends 90 degrees. The wrists don't do anything. Hips can go out about that much, which is a lot. They can just kick around 360 really, so I'm not even going to show you how far back it goes. The knee bends almost 90 degrees and swivels at the knee. The feet have ankle pivot, like I've been saying. All of them have ankle pivot. And the toes close forward and back on the heel and the toe. So that's cool. Let me give him a weapon. And here he goes with this, I guess, rocket launcher or mortar launcher. I mean, it's really heavy in his hand, so the arm might flop around depending on how you have it posed, but there's that. Next guy. Now we're on to Hook. And Hook also has like a little cab that opens right there, so you can stuff Ant-Man in there if you wanted to. But what you want to do with him is go ahead and move these out of the way. Bring these panels down and put the toe out. Panel down, bring the toe out. And this is like, it's the same type of engineering as the aerial bots, where you bring the back of the leg down on a hinge, but it seems a little bit more sophisticated. That came loose because that's due to his Devastator transformation, but basically you want to get this in there, and I believe this goes behind there, behind this panel right here. So basically just slide that into place, and you have to make sure this is closed flush. If it's not, these won't go in the panels correctly. Come on, get in there. Oh boy. Found out what the power problem is. There's a peg right here that slots into there. I didn't have that in there. So now it goes down. Basically, with the arms all like this, you can bring out his fist. They lock into place. Bring this down, spin his head around, and then put it back into place. And man, this face, holy crap, I can just see him on a movie. No one would follow an uncharismatic boy like you. But anyway, he has elbows and he has forearm rotation, but he can't bring his arms in front of him really. His arms can go out like this. They can go up a little bit more if you put it underneath of the kibble. They can rotate around 360. The head has wiggle just like everybody else. Can spin around 360. Hips can go out like that. Can kick forward. Bend at the knee less than 90 degrees on both sides. And freaking ankle pivot. And his toes actually bend forward, which is nice. I mean, these guys are like simplified masterpieces. Now what I don't like is that hinge right there on the elbow, which looks ugly. If he could just bring his arms in, and I'm not sure if the Perfect Effect add-on kit will let you do that, or whether it just makes his arm a little bit more beefy. I don't know. I hope it lets you swivel his elbow in, because that would be lovely. Let me give him a weapon. Now here you go. Other than the face, just detail in the paint right there on the chest, that looks really, really nice. Here's what he looks like from the back. I guess you can stand him up with this band out. It can actually hang down without touching the ground, but any wide leg extension as it is going to be touching the ground. And I don't like the way the knees look like that too, because that's like Legends class articulation right there, which does really suck. Anyway, next. Long haul. First thing you want to do is unpeg this from there. Unpeg the arms or forearms from there. Go ahead and start lifting this up right there. You can bring the arms out if you want to. Bring this around. Rotate the waist. Bring these down till we got on the feet. Bring this over his shoulders. Get the arms out of the way. Put that clips into place. Bring this down and peg it into his back. And go ahead and lift his head up. And you can bring his shoulders up. And as the running trend, they have really cartoon accurate heads, which is really nice. I mean, his proportions are weird, but it is what it is since he's the lower torso and upper legs and whatnot. But he is a beefy, chunky bot, and like in the Devastator mode, I don't like that having two holes right there to show his butt flaps. Suckiest thing about him is the arm articulation. It doesn't even monkey curl in, it stops there. It bends out like that, which really sucks. His shoulders are hindered a lot due to the kibble, but they rotate like this and they can come in. His hip joints bend like that. He has knee joints and they swivel at the knee. His hips can go out and this ratchet is really tight. Unlike everybody else, he has a waist joint. You can bend that much naturally, but if you unpeg it, you can bend his waist even more. Coolest thing about him, just like everybody else, he does have ankle pivot too. So you can still manage to get him into some decent looking poses due to his ankle pivots and knees. Let's give him a weapon or two. I decided to go with the wings with him so he can shoot stuff and cut people up and just brutally, bluntly chop people up, which is nice. He has a lot of paint right there. All his upper thighs, well, his thighs are silver chrome. He has some red up in there, which is cool. Red on this crotch piece, and you see that design. He has the same waist as Devastator. Let's see, his face has red painted eyes. The whole head is chrome, which is nice. A nice Decepticon logo there, as you saw in the vehicle mode already. But yeah, he's still good even though he has these weird odd proportions. I mean, he looks worse in pictures, but in hand I don't have a problem with him, especially posed. People don't usually pose him, which really sucks. Pose your toys. Bone Crusher. He's a bit complex. This cab opens up, Ant-Man falls out. Let's see where to start first. Loosen the legs up. Kind of get them out of the way for now. Unhinge, well, bend that back. Unhinge this and start separating his arms. Bring them about, let's see, here. Start bending this for folding this accordion that and bring this forward. Wait, before you do that, bring his head out. Now connect that. Now this has to stay like that, which sucks. You can go ahead and push this to his chest. Well, let me figure that out later. The legs, same thing as Scavenger. Elongate them, unfold the feet. Now this part right here is a problem. You have to bend the hip joint out this way and then try to clamp this on. You want to push on this side first and then bring over this. Now the tough part is, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see this on camera, the black part has a little peg right there that pegs into there. It doesn't stay good. And then once you push them into each other, it's supposed to clamp. Then you could press onto this middle part because they're supposed to like hinge together right there, but the connection stays loose. You have to basically hold that while you move the legs ever so delicately. So now that all that's into place, you can hinge that down. Come on. And put the chest into place. And this too is definitely so cartoon accurate. It is crazy on his face. It's like they all have masterpiece quality heads. There's some wiggle. You can look around. You can see that detail on his chest right there. I don't have to talk about it because you can see it. He has paint on the forearms and biceps, black and silver, and the hands are actually purple painted. Shoulders can go out like that, spin around because it's a ball joint, ball jointed elbows, and he has a secondary hinge to make him be able to do a double joint right there. No waist joint. This crotch keeps coming apart. The problem is if the hip joints move down, it's gonna pop it apart, and it's so easy to do that. But anyway, the legs can kick up that much. Go back, knee swivel, knee bend, and ankle pivot. And this, oh my gosh, it is so frustrating. He is so cool a figure that the fact that he has this problem just makes it even more frustrating. And this can just basically hang back. You're not going to be looking at that. And let's give him a weapon. Both guys with the treads, I give these weapons. I don't know if I said that already, but there's that. He holds it better than Scavenger, which is cool. But he's a really cool bot. I wish that stayed shut better than it does, but as you can see, he looks really, really cool. Next and last, Scrapper. Basically, move this back like that, right there. Bring the feet down. Bring the heels up. Bring this down to squeeze into the back of the legs on both sides. Come on, get in there. They're pegs that connect into the front part of the legs. Bring the arms out like this. Bring the hands out, which unfortunately don't lock into place, which is and go ahead and pull the head up, and don't be afraid to pull it all the way up. I saw somebody do a review and they were saying they wished that the head could come all the way up, and as you can see, it comes all the way up. Here's some bobble in the head, and that is definitely cartoon accurate. The detail on his chest is really nice. Like, I think he has the most paint in the front of his body out of all of them, because he has completely silver thighs right here, which is G1 toy accurate, and all of that's lovingly painted. His articulation suffers. The shoulders can rock forward and back a little bit, which would be awesome if he had freaking elbows, which he doesn't. His forearm swivel and his hand can do that. I can't believe they didn't give him elbows. I'm pretty sure there's something they could have done to make him stable or safe for kids or whatever. They want to make an excuse and say that's why they did that. Anyway, the hips can kick forward quite a bit and bend 90 degrees. His toes can rock forward a little bit, and he has ankle pivot. I mean, he looks really good regardless, which is great, and I love that. Let me give him a weapon, the last weapon that's left. He can get the bigger blaster since he's supposed to be the boss. Anyway, let's get to Devastator mode, or actually some comparisons first. Actually, before those comparisons, he has another piece of articulation. His shoulders can go out. I mean, holy crap. In Japan, the Japanese version that's coming out, he's going to already have bendable elbows, which is really nice. I mean, if he had bendable elbows right now, he would be honestly the best Constructicon. So this is really, really crazy right here. Anyway, the group shot and comparisons right now. Here they all are together in robot mode. They're all roughly the same height except Scrapper. Scrapper is a little bit shorter, and I think it's appropriate because he turns into a smaller vehicle. And on the show, I think they were all roughly the same height, but I kind of remember him being shorter, but I don't have a problem with it like some other people. Long Haul is the tallest, and he's definitely the biggest girth wise, and he has to be more than a Voyager, unlike the rest of them. Let me get some of them out of the way and bring in some other figures. Here they are next to the other current classes: Voyager, Deluxe, Legends, and Leader class. And let me move some of them out of the way. Here's a standard combiner, and they make the combiners look like nothing, really, because they're so tall. Here they are next to Prowl minus Scrapper, since Scrapper kicked the bucket in the comics. I'm not sure if he ever came back. I hope he comes back. But here's Scrapper, and you can see that he's like almost the same size as Prowl. And you can see, I almost feel like these guys are masterpieces. I mean, they're very simple. I can't totally call them masterpiece, but they look so G1, just like Prowl. If they only had the articulation, and if they didn't have like stupid gaps and hollowness, some are better than others. I picked up this one. He doesn't have as much hollowness. Maybe in the arms a little bit, but man, they are damn near masterpiece. And then let me bring in some other masterpiece figures. And this scale is good for me. We have a Polyon filling in for Megatron, because he is my Megatron now. Soundwave, Masterpiece Rumble, and Frenzy. You decide who is who. But there's that, and they look good to me. So at the end, some of them not perfect, some of them are not perfect, but they're really good. Some of them have more flaws than others, but let's see. I think my favorite is Scavenger, Scrapper, even though he doesn't have elbows, and I really like Long Haul more than I thought I would. Actually, I just like all of them. They all look very good. I can't decide on who. Mixmaster probably is my least favorite. But let's get to Devastator. Going to Devastator. Make sure everybody's in vehicle mode except Long Haul. Let's start with the right leg. Scrapper, basically all you have to do is bend this down and bend that forward. It locks into place, and there you go. You're going to see that I didn't do this in the final review for Devastator, and that's going to cause problems. for me during that part of my review. But anyway, unpeg both arms, flip them around, and lock them into place. Go ahead and lift this up, bring the feet up, and basically keep it positions like that. Now what the problem is going to be is this actually, it's not doing it right now. It's locked into place, but it wasn't locked when I was in Devastator mode, which is weird. This is completely locked. It was more or less like this when I had him as the Devastator, but right now it's locked. But if you want to make sure it stays locked, put that like that. But basically, this is his right leg. Mixmaster left leg. Bring this forward, that's his toe. Bring out the heel spur. Boom. Bring out the hands, unpeg them from the side, bring them down like this. This is what the instructions tell you, but I like to turn it like this and bring it down over that wheel. And that way it's more just flush instead of just sitting out like that. Anywho, detach this. Detach the legs, move the ankle pivot in, and bring these parts forward. Now connect, well, put the ankle pivot back down. Connect these parts back together and bend it back into the drum. Basically leave that like that, and that's the left leg. Long haul. Push his head in. Push the arms up like this. Detab that. Rotate this around. Go ahead and bring these feet up like this. And bring this part of his leg down. And open these panels right here. Connect that back into place. And basically he's good to go for now. Hook the upper torso. Lift this up. Bring both arms down like this. Get them out the way. Go ahead and start rotating things this way and tab them together like that. Come on, it tabs better than that. There we go. So now we slide this over to the side, bring this down, bring this shoulder connection out right there, lift this up, bring this out. There's a little peg right here, bring that down, and there's a peg in his chest under here, bring that down. We can go ahead and move these back like that and bring his head out. Scavenger. Go ahead, put this back like that. Detab these and bring this part out, swing it around that way. The difficult thing is this is connected, so when you move this, you kind of move that. Go ahead, leave that untabbed. Take his little weapon, push this handle down that's actually in the fist. Rotate that around, rotate the fist this way, and connect the forearm to this little section right here. There's another peg inside of there that fits right into there, and boom, right arm. Bone crusher, same kind of deal. Bring this, well, untab this. Bring this down, spin it this way so that that hole is right there. Everything else is good, basically. Go ahead, take the weapon, push that handle in. Bring this out like this. Bring the fist around. And go ahead and push this over there, and boom, you have his left arm. Now let's start putting this together. This little clip right there is important, and that's important. Basically, you need to groove this into here first, and then groove that into there. So basically, slide that on, and tab that into there. Meanwhile, this tabs into here, and boom, you got that right leg done. Mixmaster is sort of the same deal. Bring this down, tap that in at the bottom first, then go ahead and push this forward. Have that into place. Now you have the lower body actually done. This part is going to be a tad bit tough to film, but basically attaching the upper body to the lower torso. This peg needs to go into there, purple peg here into the cab, and then these tabs on the shoulders, that's why they pointed up, needs to go into there and there. So basically I try to start with the purple tab since that's the most scary looking. Then I press down on the black tab. This arm is in the way, that's what's going on. Come on. And then I try to get the little shoulders into the upper body up here. And press everything down. Okay, there you go with that. Now we take the shoulders, go ahead and spread these out like that. Well, basically put this connected point into that hole right there. They stay very well. Come on. Come on there. It is a tight connection once it actually gets in there. Come on, this video is already longer than I want it to be. Get in there. Oh, there we go. Now that you have that in there, the tread needs to actually peg into the back of long haul's arm, and basically I believe that is it for now. Other side, we got the same deal. Like, open up the treads a little bit, shove this connector joint in there. Luckily that went in easy. Peg this tread in right there, and that's that. Now we take the weapon pieces, we take this part, we can connect this wing to this side and this wing to this side, and this is going to be tough to film. But basically this peg right here goes into this hole right there. These two pegs right here on both sides need to go into the treads, which is going to be difficult, and this wraps around long haul's grill. So the best thing to do is try to peg this in first. Well, actually wrap this around the grill first down the bottom, then try to peg that in. I don't even know if I'm filming this. Yes. I'm gonna skip this. I basically gave you the idea. If you find that it's too difficult, put the centerpiece on first, peg that in, then peg the wings into the side, and then connect them to the treads right there. Now lastly, all we have are the two gun pieces. Go ahead and connect it together, and boom, you have a gun. He holds onto this peg. Open up either one of his hands. You actually don't even have to open the hand up. Just slot the gun straight into his hand, and boom. Now Devastator's done. Here is Devastator. in his fully combined mode. He's terrorizing Power Glide right there, as we can see. And oh my god, he is gorgeous. Oh my goodness. This is so amazing. I'm speechless because he is absolutely beautiful and damn near perfect. I mean, just standing there, he just looks just like he just jumped out of the cartoon almost, but better because he has more detail. Now, can you imagine this guy walking down the street just destroying everything? Like, Swerve is about accurate as far as scale with him, because as you can see, here's my little Ant-Man that I use for everything. He could fit inside one of these cabs, as depending on how I edit this, you'll see I'll put him inside of there. But this is how big a human would be compared to Devastator, and that's crazy. Gonna try to do a 360 on this guy, but he's huge, as you can see. His body outline is just awesome. But the only flaw is this hole in his butt flap right there, which looks unsightly. I thought this port where his head came out of would look bad, but since it lines up with this back part, it doesn't look that bad. But yeah, definitely Devastator. And here are his legs, front and back. I mean, you still see robot body, but who cares? I'm gonna be looking at this guy from the front. Articulation, he has a lot. But before we get into the articulation, let's do a close-up on his face. It is so G1, like I remember it. Man. Properly boxy. One screw amazingly with this big head. But there you go. Articulation, like I just showed you. His head can rotate 360. The arm can go out that much. This right arm. This arm can go out that much and stop. They can do 360, both of them. The elbow has swivel. It bends right there. And the wrist swivel. This is very tight, and it almost makes it want to separate from this part. The fingers open. It's one piece. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but it's kind of ugly right there in the fingers. So yeah, and very hollow on that side, on the inside of his palm. The arms not only can rotate at the elbow, but they can also go out. Crap. And in. And there you see one flaw. This thing keeps coming off. Just to show you, the wrist, the elbow goes in right here. It doesn't go out like that one over there. Here's his waist joint, where he actually has a real looking waist that looks nice. It can twist. It's hindered a bit by this part right here, but of course you can take that off and bend them 360 if you wanted to. These flaps can come up, which allows him to kick that far. He does have a weird joint right here if you don't want him to actually kick up right there. His legs can come out to the side a lot, and the ratchets are way better than Metroplex. The legs are going to stay in whatever position you want them to. The knees bend right there. This one less than 90 degrees. I think I was able to get this one more than 90 degrees. Yeah, on this side I can get it more than 90 degrees. They have a weird joint right about here that bends, and he, even if you separate it from the barrel, I mean the drum that bends there. And they have ankle pivot on both sides. And no real toe I mean, he has it, but it'll fall over, so no real toe. But that is a lot of articulation for a figure this complex and this big, which is very, very nice. Here he is next to my giant 18-inch Spider-Man, which was my biggest action figure for a long time until I got Metroplex. While I'm doing comparisons, let's get some of those out of the way. There's their newfound buddy Prowl right there, Masterpiece Prowl, and Leader Class Megatron. Oh, I don't know if maybe he'd be a little bit too big, but there's that. Here's some current and old deluxe class figures, plus a Legends class right there. In my opinion, these guys are masterpiece scale, so here's this. Because this is about how tall Devastator was compared to the original Decepticons.
Soundwave still superior.
Two things right here. There he is next to Minnesota, a regular average size Combiner Wars Combiner. And you can see here that those Combiner hands can actually hold Devastator's gun. I mean, it's a fairly decent grip right there. And here he is, Metroplex. He still towers over Devastator, making him look small. But he doesn't have as much engineering as Devastator here because his body parts don't transform into separate little parts. I mean, they do fold out to be base parts and whatnot, but it's nowhere near as much engineering as that's in Devastator. At the end of the day, I am absolutely floored and amazed by this release. It's as G1 as they possibly could have gotten it. They had to make a few changes to make it more stable and whatnot and make it actually work as a real toy. But Hasbro and Takara Tomy did an excellent job to me. I look at this guy and it makes me realize those $600 third-party Devastators are not Devastator. Like, this looks and feels like Devastator. They look like a stylized classics type version where they took a lot of liberties and the individual Constructicons don't even really look like what they should look like, whereas these guys in their individual modes look like borderline masterpiece figures, just like this looks like a borderline masterpiece Devastator. I mean, the fact that they gave it an individual combiner system where it doesn't use that universal system where you can swap parts here or there. I mean, truthfully, yes, you can swap the arms if you wanted to, but the legs, I don't believe you could do that because the connection points are only on this side or that side, and it wouldn't look right if you swapped them to the other side. So, but I'm just shocked and amazed, and I'm happy that they did this because this is Devastator as I remember it, and it gives me like such a warm feeling owning this because I've wanted this since I was like 8 years old, to have a Devastator walking around trampling all the other toys. I wish I would have got it when I was 8, because right now all I'm gonna do is just pose them and have them standing there and not have real fun with it. Maybe I'll do some pictures and have my fun that way as an adult. But I'm completely satisfied, and I'm happy that it cost what it cost and that I found it at Toys R Us and was able to get freaking 20% off of it. But anyway, if you like this review, please give me a like. I'm happy that now I have over 400 subscribers. If you think I should have more subscribers, please don't hesitate to share this video so other people can see it and I can get more subscribers. That would really help me out, and I would really appreciate that. If you see anything that I could do better or that you want me to do in the future, please don't hesitate to comment. I read all my comments, all of them. With only a little bit over 400 subscribers, I'm not overwhelmed at all. Because in a video that I have like over 5,000 views on, I don't really even have that many comments. So yeah, I'm not overwhelmed with comments. So feel free to comment. I'm going to read it and I'm going to reply. I pretty much reply to all of them unless they start getting redundant. But anyway, T-Man978, out of here.